In America, fortune was never just built, it was gambled. Before the neon glow of the Las Vegas Strip, before luxury resorts and billion-dollar empires, gambling lived in the shadows on riverboats, inside smoky saloons, and in towns where the law barely reached. Here, the rules were fragile. Cards could be marked, dice could be rigged, and sometimes, losing meant more than money. By the early 1900s, the nation tried to erase it, declaring gambling illegal, dangerous, and immoral. But instead of disappearing, it transformed, it moved underground, it grew stronger, and in the middle of a desert, during the worst economic crisis in history, one decision changed everything. This is the story of how gambling in America evolved from outlaw tables into one of the most powerful industries in the world. In America, gambling did not begin with spectacle, nor with architecture, nor with the engineered environments that would later define entire cities. It began in fragments, small, informal, and embedded within everyday life. In early settlements, risk was not abstract. It was practical. People wagered on outcomes because uncertainty defined their existence. Crops could fail, trade could collapse, and fortunes could shift without warning. Within that reality, games of chance did not feel foreign, they felt familiar. Before the rise of formal casinos, lotteries were among the most accepted forms of gambling, used to fund roads, bridges, and educational institutions. They were sanctioned not because they were harmless, but because they were useful. Risk, in this sense, became institutionalized long before it was commercialized. As populations grew and movement accelerated across the expanding territories, gambling evolved alongside migration. The Mississippi River became more than a trade route. It became a corridor of interaction where culture, commerce, and entertainment intersected. Riverboats introduced a new dimension to gambling mobility. These vessels operated in spaces where jurisdiction was blurred, allowing activities to continue beyond the immediate reach of regulation. Inside, the atmosphere was controlled yet volatile. Tables were arranged with precision, but outcomes were never guaranteed. Professional gamblers emerged as a distinct class. Individuals who treated games not as recreation, but as occupation. Some relied on probability and observation, while others mastered manipulation. Deception was integrated into the environment, not as an anomaly, but as a parallel system operating alongside the visible rules of play. The social structure of gambling environments reflected broader dynamics within frontier society. In saloons scattered across developing towns, games of chance became central to social identity. These were not neutral spaces. They were arenas where reputation could be constructed, challenged, and dismantled. The ability to win signaled control, confidence, and sometimes dominance, while repeated losses suggested vulnerability. Money functioned as both resource and symbol, amplifying the stakes of every interaction. In the absence of strong legal enforcement, personal codes and informal hierarchies governed behavior, but these systems were inherently unstable. Conflict was frequent, and resolution often depended less on rules than on power. Over time, as urban centers developed and institutional frameworks strengthened, the perception of gambling began to shift. What had once been tolerated or even integrated into public systems became increasingly scrutinized. Reform movements, particularly those influenced by religious and moral arguments, reframed gambling as a source of societal harm. It was linked to addiction, financial ruin, and broader patterns of corruption. These concerns were not entirely unfounded, but they were also shaped by changing expectations of order and governance. As cities sought stability and predictability, activities associated with volatility came under pressure. Legislation followed this shift in perception. By the early 20th century, a wave of anti-gambling laws had effectively removed public casinos from most parts of the United States. The disappearance of legal venues did not eliminate the underlying demand. Instead, it redistributed it. Gambling moved into less visible forms. adapting to constraints by becoming more selective and more controlled. Access required knowledge, connection, or invitation. The physical spaces changed private rooms, replaced open halls, but the fundamental mechanics remained intact. This transition created conditions that favored organized structures. Without legal oversight, informal networks gained authority, managing operations with a combination of discipline and secrecy. Gambling became one component within a larger system that included other restricted activities, forming interconnected economies that operated parallel to official institutions. During the Prohibition era, when alcohol itself was banned under the Prohibition in the United States, these networks grew even stronger. Demand did not diminish, it intensified. Illegal casinos expanded in scale and sophistication, offering environments that were both controlled and concealed. These establishments were designed to minimize risk for operators while maximizing engagement for participants. Systems of surveillance, enforcement, and financial management were implemented internally, ensuring continuity in the absence of legal protection. Gambling within this context became both an economic engine and a mechanism of influence. The persistence of gambling under Prohibition revealed a structural truth. Demand for risk-based activity cannot be eliminated solely through restriction. This realization set the stage for a different approach. In 1931, in response to the economic collapse of the Great Depression, the state of Nevada legalized gambling. This decision was not driven by cultural acceptance, but by economic necessity. With limited alternatives, Nevada positioned itself as a destination where restricted activities could be conducted openly and regulated. At that time, Las Vegas was not yet a symbol. It was a developing town with limited infrastructure, but it occupied a strategic position within a rapidly changing region. The construction of the Hoover Dam brought an influx of labor, capital, and logistical development. This surge created immediate demand for services that extended beyond basic needs. Entertainment became a critical component of that demand, and casinos emerged as one of the most effective ways to meet it. Early establishments were modest, but they operated within a framework that allowed expansion. Investment increased, and with it, the scale of operations. Individuals and groups with prior experience in underground gambling recognized the advantages of legalization. They brought operational knowledge, financial resources, and established networks into a new environment where risk was reduced and potential returns were amplified. This convergence accelerated development, transforming small venues into complex operations. As casinos expanded, they began to integrate multiple functions into a single environment. Gambling floors were combined with lodging, dining, and performance spaces, creating destinations designed to retain visitors over extended periods. This integration marked a shift from transactional interaction to experiential engagement. Visitors were no longer simply participating in games. They were entering controlled environments designed to influence behavior, perception, and duration of stay. The Flamingo Hotel and Casino, associated with Bugsy Siegel, exemplified this transition, representing a model in which scale, design, and entertainment were combined to redefine the industry. Despite outward success, internal tensions persisted. The overlap between legal operations and informal influence drew increasing attention from federal authorities. Financial discrepancies, particularly the diversion of unreported revenue, became focal points of investigation. Regulatory pressure intensified, targeting both individuals and systems that operated outside formal oversight. At the same time, broader economic trends created new opportunities for legitimate investment. As perceptions shifted, casinos began to be viewed not as unstable ventures, but as underdeveloped assets with significant growth potential. The entry of corporate investors marked a structural transition. Figures such as Howard Hughes demonstrated that casinos could be integrated into Formal business systems, governed by standardized processes and regulatory compliance. Ownership models changed, decision-making became more centralized, and transparency increased. These developments reduced the influence of informal networks and aligned the industry more closely with mainstream economic structures. With corporate control came expansion in scale and diversification in function. The concept of the integrated resort matured, combining gaming with hospitality, retail, entertainment, and large-scale event hosting. This model broadened the appeal of casinos, attracting a wider demographic and increasing the stability of revenue streams. Las Vegas evolved accordingly, positioning itself not only as a gambling destination, but as a global center for entertainment and tourism. The success of this model encouraged replication. Economic pressures in other regions led to reconsideration of gambling laws, resulting in controlled legalization beyond Nevada. In 1976, New Jersey legalized casino gambling in Atlantic City, creating a second major hub. This expansion demonstrated the adaptability of the model, showing that casinos could function within different geographic and economic contexts. Additional frameworks, including the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, introduced new operational structures, particularly in relation to tribal sovereignty and governance. As the industry diversified, it developed into a multi-layered system composed of distinct but interconnected segments. Destination resorts focused on large-scale tourism, regional casinos targeted localized markets, and tribal operations operated within unique legal frameworks. Together, these segments formed a network that contributed significantly to employment, infrastructure development, and public revenue. Regulatory systems evolved in parallel, addressing issues of fairness, accountability, and social impact while allowing continued growth. Technological advancement introduced a further transformation, shifting the boundaries of the industry beyond physical space. Digital platforms enabled remote participation, allowing gambling to occur without geographic limitation. Online casinos and sports betting systems altered patterns of engagement, emphasizing accessibility and immediacy. This shift required new forms of regulation, addressing challenges related to data security, jurisdiction, and user protection. Despite these changes, the underlying structure remained consistent. Gambling continued to operate as a system based on probability, uncertainty, and behavioral response. Across each phase of its development, the casino industry in the United States has demonstrated a capacity for adaptation. When constrained, it reorganized. When permitted, it expanded. When scrutinized, it restructured. When enabled by technology, it extended its reach. These transitions were not isolated events, but interconnected responses to changing conditions. Each phase built upon the previous one, retaining core elements while modifying external structures. At its core, the industry reflects a persistent aspect of human behavior, the willingness to engage with uncertainty in pursuit of potential gain. This interaction, repeated across centuries and environments, forms the foundation upon which all variations of gambling are built. Whether on a riverboat within a resort or through a digital interface, the fundamental dynamic remains unchanged. A decision is made, a risk is accepted, and an outcome is awaited. The evolution of casinos in America is therefore not defined solely by legality, scale, or technology, but by continuity within change. It is a system that has transformed repeatedly while maintaining its central principle, from informal beginnings to structured global operations, from hidden rooms to highly visible destinations, from physical tables to digital platforms. The industry has expanded without abandoning the mechanism that defines it, and within that mechanism lies the enduring tension that has sustained it. For generations, the balance between control and chance, between calculation and uncertainty, between the desire to win and the acceptance of risk,